Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's April 24th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And you can see we pushed higher again today. Looked like we were going to trade lower during the overnight, and we reversed and went higher, closed higher. And we actually closed outside this upper limit of this channel. So that's encouraging. So we could be headed for a measured leg up. Something like this. So we'll see. Um, Definitely encouraging. Taking back a good bit of that sell-off from the lows to the highs. 17 days we've gone up over 700 points. So we pretty much took all that last sell-off back, which is encouraging. So I felt like that was all overdone from the get-go. People just not paying attention to or understanding what was really going on with the tariffs and how Trump operates. So the whole idea was to get everybody else to fold, in my opinion, not really raise these huge tariffs on people. Our idea was to get them to fold. And it looks like it's worked to some degree. And so the market's kind of relaxed a little bit, and people perceiving there's some opportunities and some good pricing out there, and looks like people are snapping it up. So we'll see if it continues. For now, looks like we're headed on the second leg up. We'll see if we get a measured leg or not. But let's flip over to the daily chart and we'll go from there. Actually, I should have said let's switch over to the 2000 tick chart. I'm sorry. Big rally today, as you can see. We had a news item at 7. It's not on here now. 7:30 we had the I think it was unemployment. I can't remember what it was. I think it was unemployment. So you had to be flat there. But not a ton of entries today, but there's some pretty good ones here, and pretty good day. If you caught some of these, you might have caught a runner as well. But yeah, this market really took off today, and pretty impressive. So be interested to see if we can get some follow through with all this. But let's zoom in here, and we'll get started, and we'll go through the trades, and we'll wrap this up. Okay, you can see early on it didn't look that impressive. It was unclear if this was going to be a spike and channel up. It looked like it could be, but we really didn't get confirmation till here, and by that time we were working sideways. So I like this triple test to go long, and then I would have drawn my trend line right through there. And then you get a higher low here, but there's still room to get out. Actually, before that, we get a triple test to the downside. So you're just playing the range rules. I like going short there. But you can see how it bounced at that. It held at that midline, and then even though it pushed on through, it closed back above it and reversed. If you've got room to get out there, go ahead and take that trade. I marked it green just because it's a little unclear at this point. We didn't quite get back to the low, but you can clearly see that we confirmed that trend line, and you can see that trend line working. Obviously, you'd feel better if you had another touch of it, but if you've got room to get out there, which you do in this case, I say go long, and I say you could make it blue. So anyway, it takes off, and if you catch this one trade, you could have got a nice, very nice runner on it, and ridden it for quite a ways actually. But we're just kind of bouncing off. We're staying up in the upper midline, but we're not really getting any second entries there. And finally, we get a triple test here. We're not back to the trend line, but this thing is just really strong. So I like going long there, just playing the range rules, just playing the triple test rules. And you see it takes off again, and you probably would have had another runner here. I mean, if you could just catch one of these two and catch a runner, you're probably had a pretty good day. But it runs on up, and we're just kind of, and notice we get what it looks to me like an overshoot here. Notice what we pretty much had some highs there, then all of a sudden it looks like we get an overshoot. So you got to be careful when it comes back to this trend line. And I wouldn't be trying to pick any tops here. It's running back and we're working sideways. It's tempting to go long right there. If you did, it would have worked. But I think you got to sit tight with that overshoot and this looking like congestion. Just wait and see what happens, and sure enough, it turns lower. If you'd had a good signal bar there, maybe you give that a green, but I think you need to wait on a high or low, and you get that here. And notice it's 2 legs back too, and it actually went lower first and then reverses. I like going long there. You should on a trend a spiking channel this strong, you should easily retest the highs, and you might get a flatter channel that takes over this more. It's at a little flatter, more 45-degree angle, closer to a 45-degree angle. Um, and here you had a second entry long, but again, it just looks like range rules too as well. And I marked this one green because it is a failed break lower, but you can clearly see there's some congestion here, and it's just like a little failed breakout. You'd like a higher low, but you don't get it there, and so maybe you go long. And it just runs straight up, makes a new high, and you actually, let me zoom in here a little bit so this is easier to see. And notice we run up, make a new high, and then you get a lower high here, still way away from the EMA. I like going short there. I marked it green. It looks a little congested. There's still room to get out before here. And the problem is it's been a really strong uptrend, but it looks like we've got a break and clearly a couple of legs up to a new high. You can see that, and we're a little overdone there. So you should be able to at least ride it back to the EMA, and it ends up coming much lower here. I don't see any shorts there I really like. They're all first entries and not very good signal bars either. And then we bounce here, and we end up in what looks like a range to me, sideways stuff. I don't really see anything I like to enter there until the breakout, and I think you need a lower high there, which we get one here, but I think it's moved too far. It does close back in the range, so that's a possibility. I would have liked to seen the range act as resistance again, but you still got plenty of room there, so maybe you take that one. And then you bounce here again. And that signal bar is okay, but you're still in this down channel. And you see it does get a break in new low and then runs back up, and it finds resistance there again. I didn't mark that one, but that's another one you could probably take. I'd like to see it tested again before I would mark it red. And then we fell out again on the lower side. Maybe this thing just expanded a little. Maybe it's more like that. And this is just a midline, and that does look valid there. I didn't see that earlier. I didn't notice that. But notice how we're bouncing off this possible trend line here, but there's no setup. Runs up, close outside, new high. And there is that's not quite a lower high. It actually makes a new high. And you're way away from the EMA, but it's so congested. I'd wait on a lower high there, and you don't get it. It ends up just going higher. And there's no real setups here to go long. You might notice there's a first entry, second entry failure there, but I don't really like entering on that. I don't think we've proven that trend as much. If it happened down here on this trend line, yeah, maybe, but not up here on a secondary trend line. But it works on up, and then you get a close outside first entry, and then a second entry long right there. We're still in this channel, but with a second entry as strong as this trend's been, I still like going long there. And you can see it took a minute, but it ends up going higher. And then you get a second entry short way up here, and that's your move to a new high. If we'd already proven this upper trend channel, I might even make that red, but not knowing for sure if that's where the upper line is, I think you can make that green. If you get a lower high here, by all means take it, but you don't get one. It just kind of drops on down. And then you actually had your break and new low here, and then it's running up, close outside, new high. And that's like a third entry. That signal bar doesn't quite qualify in my opinion. And you move too far for a lower high here. You do get a break and new low. Unfortunately, too bad you don't get a second entry. You get a second entry, but it's not a good enough signal bar. Now you're running up, close outside, and 2 legs to a new high. That one's very tempting. We're not quite back up to the highs though, so it's a possibility. Way away from the EMA like that. Better off to wait on the lower high, and it never comes. But you do get a close outside new low, and then you get a 2-bar matching low for a higher low. I like going long there. It's not perfect because it's right into the EMA, but this market's been strong, and this EMA's been kind of holding there. We've been pushing through it, but it continues to get back above it. So I like that one. If you'd got a higher low here, maybe you take it. Maybe you make it blue, but you don't get one. We finally get a close outside, move to a new high, and you do get a lower high here. And I didn't mark this one. It is a second entry too. But again, we don't quite make the highs. But I think you could argue for that to at least be green. And it just takes off. You get a close outside new low, and it turns up right off that key entry point there. I like going long there. This thing has been very strong. Runs up, close outside, move to a new high, and then you're working lower. And it bounces off that trend line again and again. But you're into the 2:30 hour. Now this is a second entry here, and you're still in this channel. So if you weren't in this channel, with it being a second entry, maybe you take that if it's just barely into 2:30. But that's why you don't. It's late in the afternoon. If you took that and it failed on you, you're in trouble because you don't have time to make it back. This would have been the better entry where it trapped people here. But notice you get your close and new low, and then it goes higher. And so I would have just sat tight on that one. We had a spike and channel up that folded over, and really it just looks like a big spike and channel up. This is a really bullish day. We've had 2 pretty good days in a row now, so we did lose some of it yesterday, but still we closed much higher. So, but this was a really nice trading day. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But I'm going to wrap it up. It's a little late. I want to get this uploaded where you can see it, and so we'll wrap this up. So it is Thursday. No chart lessons on Friday, so this is going to wrap up our week. Hope you had a good trading day. We had some really good opportunities here, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll see if we get any more follow through. But I'm going to wrap it up. I'll see you Monday. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.